OTK Paladin and a Death Rattle Hunter. Both of these players really want to kill control decks, TJ.
Yeah, and I'm glad that, one, these guys got matched up in round 7, and also, two, that our production team chose this matchup because...
Well, as Giggling Inventor's popularity across all kinds of decks, but Quest Rogue, I think, was what made it really impressive.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Blizzard just decides to reverse Hall of Fame it and keep it in post-rotation just to really drive home the cockroach meme. But game 1, going to be the Mechathune Warlock for Meati. This isn't the blast through your deck as quick as possible Mechathune Warlock. This is the Demon Package Warlock with Possessed Lackey, Void Lords, Blood Reaver, Gul'dan, and a lot more meat in the mid game. Slow hanging fruit, Dan.
Yeah.
Meaty.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah. I think we should just end it there, DJ.
Okay.
In terms of the puns.
Oh.
I think Meati has a lot going for him so far. I mean, the fact that a lot of people are bringing these control lineups with Odd Warrior and you're able to prey on it, it's just kind of funny to me. Important thing, though, is that Meati got paired up.
Yes,
so this helps his tiebreakers, but really hurts Tars if he takes this loss. Because, Tars can end 5-2 and have the same record as the other guys like Tice and Faley and all them. But, if he loses to a 4-2 player, that just decreases his tiebreaker power significantly. Now, that being said, this Mechathune Warlock against OTK Paladin, it's a very, very tough matchup for the Paladin because they get their combos a lot slower. And in a head-to-head where both players are, they have combo lineups, it really comes down to speed because their pressure tools are significantly worse than, their more aggressive variants like Cube Warlock or even Paladin. They're much better at pressuring these decks out of the game. And what the fastest that I think Paladin can get their death, his OTK is what, like turn 12 or 13?
Yeah.
And then the fastest that Mechathune Warlock can do is just turn 10. They just draw their entire thing and then...
This is not the normal Mechathune Warlock. It is the heavier version that runs the Demon Package. It's much more difficult to, one, cycle through your deck, and then two, be able to play enough stuff to get to the point where you have Mechathune activated. And play enough stuff, I basically just mean double Galvanizer and then find Blood Bloom and Cataclysm.
Yeah, because none of those things.
Yeah, unlike Druid, even if your hand is full, you can still complete the combo as long as you've gotten that stuff out of the way. But there's not like the crazy Solarium, just blast through my deck as quick as possible to be able to get that package online. It's much more defensive and has kind of like an alternate win condition in that phase where sometimes you can just run your opponent out of stuff if you're playing against an aggro deck, and that's a little bit more defense in the mid to late stages of the game to try and guarantee that you have that combo against decks that might move a little faster. I still think on average it does get the combo online faster than OTK Paladin does, but it's much closer. So Tars is not an almost guaranteed loss. It's just unfavored for him, I'd say.
Makes sense. One piece definitely picked up here with the Galvanizer, but Possessed Lackey is really important. I like a lot what you're saying, TJ. Meati does have a slower deck, so it might end up sabotaging him. And he even was heavily thinking about how he wants to budget his hand because, if he's overdrawing with Novice Engineer and life tapping, it's not exactly a very good position where you have too many cards. I think that's kind of the big thing about Mechathune decks in general. Like whether you're Druid or you're Warlock, there's so many people that just focus way too much on the Mechathune part. They draw, and they don't realize like what the big picture is. And I think Meati first of all, playing this Possessed Lackey is really important just to help get that card draw out of his deck through Recruit. But recognizing that he needs to make sure to stave off as much damage as possible because he does have the advantage on paper in this head-to-head.
Double Galvanizer picked up. Not helping him right now since he doesn't have the Mechathune. So those are just two kind of dead cards in his hand until he finds it. And I guess that's one of the issues with this deck in particular is in that turn 6 to turn 9 range. Sometimes it can be tough to manage that card economy like you're talking about, to manage how many cards do I want to play, what do I need to do. Voidlord also has that weird situation where you can't always get Mechathune off if you have a Voidlord on board and it can't be killed off, so sort of a bizarre situation that you can end up finding yourself in with this particular version of the deck. It's kind of just Control Warlock with Mechathune package thrown in, as opposed to just Mechathune Warlock. Even though we still classify it as Mechathune, because against control decks, that is its primary win condition. But against aggro decks, it does have just that option, like I mentioned earlier, of just running the aggro deck out of resources, sticking a Voidlord on the board, and calling it a day. Like against Odd Rogue, for instance, I think sometimes that can happen. There's always the Myra's Unstable element that could come into the picture, though.
Don't disagree there. 2 Galvanizers ready to go. No Mechathune in sight. Yeah, things just look pretty middling at this point for both sides. No aggression is going to be easily overturned here because of the Void Lord. But if you're able to chop it down, double quality and consecration is a good start here for Tars.
Also has 2 combo activators already with Ancient Brewmaster plus Zola.
Okay.
So 1 away.
I mean,
we're having the potential to end the game soon.
Right.
Though it also relies on rolling the right horseman from the hero power, since you only get 1 a turn unless you play the Blackwall Pixie, which Tars does not.
Yes.
He's got 1 more Ancient Brewmaster and 1 Youthful Brewmaster in the deck.
Blood Bloom is in the hand.
And Mechathune.
So now Meati has an ability to just play Galvanizer and dump hand space, because that's what it's primarily used for.
And then we're a Cataclysm and 7 card draws away.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Blood Mage Thanos gets you one card deeper.
Yeah.
Tars needs to find another bouncer, and perhaps even things like Timeout. Timeout's really nice.
Well, Timeout doesn't do much in this matchup because you're never really under too much pressure to the point where you have to block it out. But it is a card that you can kind of freely dump. But Tars did find himself in a situation yesterday on stream where he just used
a little too liberal.
Yeah, he just used double Timeout, and it cost him dearly.
That's true. It's true.
So maybe going to learn from that situation and not do it now. But in this deck, you're not under pressure too often.
Yeah, it's just, the board size is somewhat reasonable. There's 9 power on the board, so when you clear things with the Equality Consecration, you kind of think about what you want to do to follow up. But, the part of the reason why the timeout might be relevant is if he wants to spend his turns bouncing. So if he hero powers Ancient Brewmasters, he can timeout. He can also just kind of pass since he's at 32 life, not too threatening at the moment. See, the thing I'm concerned about is if Tars ends up getting all his combo pieces, but just doesn't have enough time to pull it off, which is why the timeout's relevant in that situation. Because if Meati recognizes that he's like 4 cards left in his deck and Tars is about to win, he might as well just go for the pressure plan.
Which involves playing Mechathune from hand, but I don't think you do that in this matchup because you always have the option to hope that your opponent doesn't get... basically rolls the same horseman over and over again so they can't bounce anything back.
Yes.
But getting close.
Yep. Has the Skull or the Ziliax, but first we're going to draw with the Coldblood Librarian. Man, he just dig through his deck so fast. A Immortal Coil. It's also a very good pickup.
Yeah, you can still play the Ziliax alongside this and not worry about hand space too much.
Precision.
3 turns. Tars has 3 turns before this is too late and irrecoverable.
So he needs to draw his bouncers and get the perfect horseman in order to win.
Well, he has Zola this turn, so that's nice.
But
he can draw as well.
I think if he doesn't draw, doesn't roll a unique horseman this turn,
he loses guaranteed.
I think he loses guaranteed because Meati has enough to dump.
Frostmourne calls.
Maybe he has one more turn, but
we'll see.
No peace.
Okay,
no
well that's a
rest.
unique horseman.
Yeah. Might have to dump hand here. I mean, maybe use his timeout in this position.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, Meati, even if he just keeps attacking with his minions, he's going to get his combo online faster than he kills Tars, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so. And Tars has, like, a quality consecration environment, so, like, doesn't need this timeout by any means. Just dump hand.
Yeah.
There is so something that Tars is not doing, by the way, is opening up this Void Lord. And I think what he wants to do is force Meati in a position where he can't play Mech-Cthulhu by filling up the board. So it's actually in Meati's best interest to start preemptively trading off his minions.
Yeah.
Like, I am definitely in favor of trading off at least, like, the Kobold. Oh, he's killing off his own minions into the Gorgon.
I was going to say, he was holding on to the Godfrey for almost this specific situation. Also, one of the reasons why he didn't play Skull to pull out Void Lord is because he doesn't need it, and two, a 3/9 on board that you need to kill off before you play Mech-Cthulhu is very dangerous.
Yep, precisely. And then kept his Mana free so he can use his Dark Pact. This is game. Tars can't do anything about this right now.
Yeah.
30th card guaranteed. Saw the double Galvanizer. I mean, Tars passed Mech-Cthulhu Warlock into his lineup. He knows what this spells. And the thing is, even if he had another turn or two, like, his last bouncer could be at the very bottom of his deck.
Yeah. Didn't pull from Called Arms also, which is, if this happened like 2 turns earlier, would have been a little bit better. But there it is. Blood Bloom, Cataclysm, GG.
So that's game 1 over to Meati. Mech-Cthulhu Warlock is on the board. Still has a couple of other decks that we have question marks. How does Mech-Cthulhu Druid fit into this piece? You know, is it going to serious deck? I mean, we saw Dog climb #1 legend with it not too long ago. Just a week or so, beginning of the new year around that time.
Yep.
And now we go into game number 2. And what a time to be alive. Druid still basically on life support after the Nourish and the Wild Growth nerf, but still kicking.
It is still kicking, that's right. And this deck doesn't even run Wild Growth. It does run Biology Project, however. Gives you some additional cycling with Gadsden Auctioneer.
Yeah, so Mech-Cthulhu Druid is a lot trickier of a deck to play, in my opinion, than Mech-Cthulhu Warlock.
Yeah.
Mech-Cthulhu Warlock is fairly straightforward, which is life tap a lot, draw a lot, remove a lot, play Mech-Cthulhu and win. The thing about Mech-Cthulhu Druid is that I feel like there's a very there's a delicate balance of how often you draw, because I do find people overdrawing a lot. When I say overdraw, not like past 10 cards, it's just that they focus too much on the drawing, and they rely a little bit too much on like the Wild Pyromancer and Auctioneer turns.
Yeah. And also, it is a Mech-Cthulhu deck that you actually have to empty your hand before you play Mech-Cthulhu, which I think is the most difficult part, because you have to manage fatigue in that situation. Because if you find yourself drawing through your whole deck and having a bunch of expensive cards left with Mech-Cthulhu, then you could take a significant amount of fatigue damage before you're able to even get it off, especially if you leave a Gadsden Auctioneer on the board and your opponent just doesn't kill it if they're playing the deck slow enough where they don't have to. Then you have to manage fatigue while also finding a way to kill off your own Gadsden Auctioneer without playing too many spells. And then if you use Naturalizes early and you don't have Mech-Cthulhu Naturalized Innervate for your Mech-Cthulhu, then you can't even win in the first place. So a much more difficult Mech-Cthulhu deck to navigate than Warlock, for sure.
Right, yeah, and it's exactly what you were saying. I should have clarified that earlier. A large reason why it's difficult is because you finish drawing your deck, and then you're taking like 8 fatigue damage by the time you're able to empty your hand. And it's like, oh, I just lose.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to be a little cautious about it, as well as the resource expenditure. How many times have we seen double naturalize used or like no innervate? It's like, huh, well, I just Mechathune and hope that you can't do anything.
And then you take 18 more fatigue damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Or however much. So it's yeah.
There's also hand space issues, which is what Meati's encountering right now. He most likely will dump something if he's going to play this Acolyte, like Moonfire, Hero Power. You can even throw in the Pounce if you want, just to free up some space. Oh, double Earth Scale? Or is it just one?
Just one. This means that even if Meati forced him to draw, or sorry, Tars forced Meati to draw
3 times, he'd be good.
Well, 3. If he forced him to draw twice, he'll be good with the natural draw, but he could overdraw. The important thing, though, Meati does have Mechathune Innervate already in hand, so even if he overdraws 1, if it's a naturalize, he still has 1 naturalize left.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about, too. Like, if he wants to dump the other Earthen Scales in case he was forced to draw maximum times.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a tricky situation because of the double Pyromancer, which sort of, you know... I mean, Tars can do that. He can play Consecration right now, and I think it would trigger twice at the same time, right? It's like, it's not that Wild Pyromancer dies before the second goes off.
No, it goes off. That's why if you play a... Yeah, it'll trigger both.
But he would have to specific... Like, in Tars' mind, he thinks, okay, I have a chance of burning the Mechathune or, you know, like, double Naturalize.
Yeah. He could try and deny as many card draws as possible by playing, say, like Sunkeeper Tarim and trading in, but...
Yeah, the problem is that if he simply does let him draw too many cards, then he's kind of playing into it. Oh! What is this? This is unusual. He wants me to draw.
Okay.
All right, well, let's follow him down the rabbit hole. Now, something to keep in mind is that Mechathune also has to be the last minion to die.
Yes.
So, you know, we have seen instances where, you know, like the Druid can't kill off their own Spreading Plague tokens, which is why a lot of Mechathune Druids stop playing Spreading Plague, because clogging up the hand and also sometimes hard to kill your own minions.
Yeah, it was the same point I was making with the Guidance Hand Auctioneer earlier. If you can survive 4 damage a turn and you have an answer to Mechathune if they ever have to play it, you just don't kill it. Force him to play Mechathune to try and pressure, and then take out the Mechathune with the Guidance Hand Auctioneer still on board, or just never kill it.
I mean, this is something that Meati has to think about, like, oh man, do I do anything to my own Acolyte here? Because I have to make sure I don't overdraw too much.
Do you naturalize your own Acolyte? Oh, jeez.
Well, the awkward thing about the Spike Rich Steed is that after whatever minion dies that it gets attached to, it summons the 2/6. So if Meati gets it out of the way now, it increases his chance of being able to clear the board, but it's also still a lot of damage.
Yeah, and now Meati's not even worried about overdrawing. In fact, overdrawing benefits him.
Right, because he has the combos.
Because he has the combo already, and every card that's overdrawn is mana that he doesn't have to spend to play those cards.
No, that makes sense.
So he's definitely okay with it.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see from Tars, but I guess it was the guaranteed option either way.
I'm no mathematician here, but I'm pretty sure Meati can draw the rest of his deck this turn.
It has to be.
Because he gets 2, if he plays Wild Pyromancer, he gets 2 draws every spell that he plays.
You're right. No, I
oh my god.
So he has Wild Pyromancer, and then Wrath, like your own Acolyte. Acolyte would be 6 draws. And then you could Bark Skin and Pounce and Innervate. It would draw the rest of the deck. I think Meati would, on average, have like 1 or 2 cards remaining in his deck.
Yeah, the only thing is mana in that situation. And also, if he uses Innervate to draw, he needs to make sure he doesn't overdraw his other Innervate, because that's necessary.
What if Meati goes for like an aggressive plan? Like, what if he does this and Branching Paths for an attack?
Okay.
And then just like forces Tars to deal with the fact that he has like a 13 attack minion.
That's
sorry,
exactly
13 attack board.
That's exactly what he's going for.
I like it.
One of the other benefits for Tars of Spiker stealing the Acolyte of Pain is Meati will have to kill that off eventually.
Yes.
And I think that's also why Meati went for the attack, because he's saying, Tars, I'm going to put pressure on you, so you have to kill my minions or you'll die. Because Meati doesn't want to have to kill off his own minions. He wants Tars to do that job for him for multiple reasons. One is because he's not drawing cards himself, and two, because eventually Meati's going to need to kill these himself.
Yep, precisely. Like Tars, it's a very cute play to attach Spiker Steed to your opponent's Acolyte for the reasons mentioned above, but we already know that all the pieces are in his hand, and Tars also should know that statistically it's likely that Meati already has.
Yeah.
It's the Mechathune card. So
this is actually like a really complex matchup for that reason specifically, because Paladin has enough healing and stall to be able to play that game plan where they just try and force the Druid to have a minion on board that they have to kill.
Tar's gonna go for it, tries to consecrate, sees what Meati will draw. So one card is burned, just the Moonfire. Going for gold, and I respect it, but not really too much good stuff being burned here.
Okay.
All of them are bad cards, and Tar's just like, oh no.
Yeah. If a second Naturalize was burned, it was possible that Meati wouldn't be able to kill off his second Gadgetzan. But he's got plenty of other stuff to try and do it.
Yeah, he can always, Wrath his own minion.
Yeah, Wrath his own minion with Wild Pyromancer to kill that off, and then play any other spell to kill off his own Wild Pyromancer, so...
Meati also has, the spell stones in his deck remaining, and those are really useful. I even have seen Mechathune Druid one time use both of their Naturalizes and had to innervate twice with 2 spell stones to kill their Mechathune.
Oh, wow.
It was very creative at that point. I was like, all right, I'm not even mad. Not even mad. Well played.
And Meati's trying to think through that now is, if I use Barkskin on these minions, which I have to eventually...
It's better to use it on the Pyromancer so it dies easier.
Yeah.
But, Meati dumping. Does not want anything to do with having too many cards in the hand.
Yeah. And I think he's honestly going to wait for his opponent to play a minion to Barkskin to make it easier for him to clear off his own stuff.
Right, yes, that's true. Yeah, he can use Barkskin.
Justice has failed.
And he should be able to just draw the rest of his deck too right now, right this turn.
Yeah.
He's at 34, so his life total is very reasonable.
Yeah, and he does have that Naturalize, which means that he can Barkskin, the Biology Project naturalize his own Gadgetzan Auctioneer.
Yep.
And then he just has to have enough spells left, which he has a Spellstone for sure, to be able to kill off his Wild Pyromancer. Yeah, I think honestly Meati's going to win this one. He's played this quite well.
Yeah, it's just too difficult for the Paladin to get its footing. It's kind of what we're talking about. Mechathune decks are just so efficient at what they do best, which is draw and remove. And, Tars was never able to put up any counteroffensive. In fact, Meati got pretty close. Tars was almost within critical life breakpoints.
And also Meati needs to find the balance of how many cards do I want to draw, count out my turns to make sure that fatigue's not going to be an issue. So I wouldn't honestly even be surprised here if he just leaves this Gadgetzan as is, and then he has 2 more turns to dump the rest of his hand.
I'm almost out of cards.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 of these cards are fine, which is the Mechathune, the 2 Innervates, the Barkskin, and the Naturalize. So next turn, what he can do is Branching Paths for armor, plays Pyromancer, and Spellstone his own Pyromancer, which leaves the last remaining card, which is the other... Was it the other Spellstone? No, you already used the one.
I think it's a Pounce. Or an
Okay.
Oaken Summons.
No, the Oaken Summons was milled.
Okay, so I think it's Pounce.
Okay. Then that's 2 turns guaranteed, and Tars does not have enough time to win. So that is going to be GG, unless Tars can find some way to stall this. And this is where cards like Mojo Master Zihi come into play, or Skulking Geist, or what other card am I thinking of? Grifta, the card where you give your opponent a random card they might not be able to use.
Oh my goodness. That's...
I'm just talking about
throw Grifta and Rogue and discover a deadly poison, so they just literally can't play it. Oh my god, if Mechathune ever becomes a top tier deck, that's how you beat him.
Well, there's a lot of ways to beat that too. And you're also
just Skulking Geist by itself is almost near guaranteed.
Oh, absolutely, I mean, even there's even funny ways like Mana Wraith to stop it, because if you have Mana Wraith, they can't play Mechathune.
I just want to toot my own horn there and say, Dan, we don't have Deck Tracker.
We do not.
I called that last card.
You did?
Pretty sure I'm just a genius.
You most certainly are.
It's the suspenders and the bow tie. Just makes you feel smarter.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of those old commercials. We salute the real men of genius.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bowtie Suspenders card tracking guy.
Yeah, without you, how else are we supposed to know that casters once again are ranked 25? I'm pretty sure if you asked, Adam will be willing to provide the soundtrack background vocals.
He would.
Game 2 in the books. Meati has the lethal set up. Mechathune Druid against OTK Paladin. I mean, Mechathune anything feels like it's great against this Paladin.
Yep.
Tars is struggling, to say the least. And, I don't know what I was expecting. I was kind of hoping that maybe Paladin would put up a better fight, but it seems like he's going to have to beat Quest Rogue in order to do it.
He's going to have to beat Quest Rogue 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and Quest Rogue, it's lost a step or two, but it's not bad. We're bad to the point where you're like, well, I don't think I can get a win 3 tries. Like, even against unfavorable
algorithm in my head to determine those types of things, Dan. I would say it is approximately a 32% chance for him to make it. 4-2 is a very tough record to have going into round 7 to begin with. And even though he got paired up, there's a lot of 5-1 players that have played against a lot of players with better records than them that are also going to drop down to 5-2 at the end of this round. Maybe not a lot, but a good amount. And so those are the players that usually find themselves in the top 8. But Meati's got a chance. I mean,
I hope you like my invention.
It's really his only option, is to win and hope.
Yeah, but more importantly, I think, this is a good opportunity for Meati to kind of establish himself. I think people don't really think about Meati when they think about top UK players, but Meati's been climbing to top ends of Legend with all kinds of weird combo decks for a long time now. So, if, sure, he may not get to the top 8, he might not make a big splash in HCT for 2018, but keep an eye out. Like, this is a good opportunity to show. We already know how great Tars is. Tars is a guy that likes to not only perform well in tournaments and travel a bunch, but he also brings off-meta stuff all the time. But it could be the rise of the Meati.
Yeah, Meati is participated in all of the 2018-2019 playoffs, summer, fall, and winter. Yeah, in a very stacked region. So that's got to say something in itself. And now we're kind of going into what I think is one of the better matchups for Quest Rogue, even out of the good matchups that Meati has left, which is against Death Battle Hunter. And he's also got basically 2 of the cards that are the best in this matchup with Sonya, which is good in every matchup, and Vanish, which completely disrupts the game plan entirely from Death Battle Hunter, which wants to stick big things on board and hit you in the face with them.
Yeah, even the Glacial Shard, good to just keep things in place, so that way they can't attack. Anything that helps stall. Oh boy.
Yeah, this is bad. Meati can now play Sonya and get an extra Zola and Novice Engineer.
Yeah, that's the quest right there, just with those minions, because the 3rd Novice Engineer is in hand, and he's about to get 2 more.
Yeah, and he can also Zola the Sonya again.
Oh, wow. You're right. It's
Because
actually
it'll
better to
come
do
back
that.
in the hand, so he doesn't even really need to complete the quest this turn. He can even complete it with Stone Tusk Board with the extra Sonya that he'll have in the next turn.
No, this is much better to do because now Sonya has redundancy.
Yeah, this is brutal.
Tars can clear off both minions with Eat Deathstalker or XR.
Yeah, but then you give up the game plan, which is one of the only game plans I see Death Metal Hunters winning in this matchup with, which is just trying to stick a minion on board early and use the steady shot hero power to try and whittle them down slowly until you kill them with almost no damage from hand.
Yeah, that's true. You do have Katharina. That can be damage from hand. A Witchwood Grizzly was played, so might be able to pull out the King Crush.
King Crush or the, I believe Meati, or sorry, Tars even runs charge. He runs a Charged Devil Sword, yeah, plus the Undasta, so the very heavy package for the Death Rattle Hunter, which fits very nicely in his lineup. If you're going to kind of go all in on the combo, you might as well go all in with Death Rattle Hunter as well.
Yep, so I think Tars recognizes he needs this hero power. And yes, your opponent can play Sonya, trade in, get another Zola, etc. But
Get another Sonya. Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
I think we're at completing the quest territory right now, though, or at least basically completing the quest with Stone Tusk Boar. So, but even just having an extra Zola in hand for anything is fantastic. Just so much value from this hand. It's absolutely ridiculous. And at this point, the Vanish may... It's good when it's used defensively against this deck, but when you're able to use it aggressively because you completed the quest early, it's even better because it has a double use for itself. So, just the stone cold nuts, man.
Jeez. Yeah, Stone Tusk Boar is 4 out of 5. The next activation will allow Meati to complete the quest at 9 cards, so it should work out brilliantly. Tars going for the pivot option, which is can't rush him down, so instead try to see if he can build zombies to fight back. Oh man. Valera the Hollow.
I mean, Meati hasn't even had to play that many cards thus far this game.
Oh man.
Every card that he's played has basically just furthered his quest progress, except for the first Novice Engineer. So this is, combined with the prep, even more rough.
Yeah. The preparation and the Crystal Core, very powerful combination, and now the entire board is 4-4. I mean, Meati is looking for a way to keep the pressure on. Doesn't even want to conserve his resources because he has Vanish. Vanish will allow him to double dip on all these battle cries and charge.
And there is no wide-scale board removal for Death Rattle Hunter. Just nothing. They have good target removal with Hunter's Mark and Candle Shot, with Flanking Strike, with just big chargers and Spider Bomb plus Play Dead. But dealing with a board full of 4/4s is nearly impossible for the deck. They just have to make big stuff and hope that that ends the game. Now, Tars does have Meati down to 12, but he's got Vicious Scalehide. He's got Valero the Hollow coming up the next turn.
Yep, Meati has really good options too to even bounce with a Vanish and freeze minions so that they can't do anything. The big problem is leaving up Katharina and leaving up the Charged Devil Sword, so Vanish takes care of both. That is just so devastating.
Yeah. And he knows he's not going to die, because even if Katharina comes out again and pulls King Crush...
Exactly. And that extra damage you were talking about might end up being a difference maker. Like, if Tars was able to hero power, like, once or twice more in this game. Now, we know Meati, if he needed to, could have healed because of the Vicious Scalehide, but...
Yeah, he also could have just... Yeah, he could have healed with Vicious Scalehide, killed the Charged Devil Sword, and then frozen with the bouncer from Youthful Brewmaster, the Katharina, which would have been another way to lock out, but Meati wanted full value from this.
Well, Tars has the Undasta, which pulls out the Charged Devil Sword, and then, well, Devil Sword can't exactly go phase because you're dead if you don't acknowledge the extra Novice Engineer.
Yeah, because he knows there's a Stone Tusk Boar in hand. So any other bouncer if he leaves one minion online. And he knows a Youthful Brewmaster, yeah. So he knows he's dead if he doesn't clear the board. But I honestly think Undasa plus Charge Devilsaur.
It's his best play in terms of what he has available right here, right now.
Yeah. And then if one of those minions stick, he can go face, and then he can pull King Crush out from the Katharina. Maybe there's hope.
Zilliax.
And there goes the hope.
Zilliax is just in every single deck, period.
It's just good.
I'm waiting for Odd Rogue to slap Zilliax in there. I think they're the last bastion. I've seen Zilliax in Odd Paladin. I've seen Zilliax in Quest Rogue.
Yeah, it's funny because Zilliax is even played in decks where there's no other mechs. So one of the keywords on Zilliax just is ignored.
Oh, so this stops Tars from doing any big kill combo.
And it sets up lethal. Yeah.
Lethal.
Yeah. I was worried for a second. I didn't see the
Right.
lethal right away, so I was like, well, Tars could just develop a huge board, but he has Vanish. Ooh. Yeah, but looks like Meati's going to take this one 3-0. I don't see a way to...
Yeah.
Oh, wait. If he pulls Witchwood Grizzly...
Oh, you're right.
From the... He can't Vanish and have 5 mana to be able to go for the 12 damage. And Witchwood Grizzly is the only beast left in the deck. Or the only... Yeah, it is. There's 2.
You are correct.
Yeah.
If Katharina pulls the Witchwood Grizzly.
There is just 1 Witchwood Grizzly left in the deck. That's the only beast. I guess Zilliax serves the same purpose. Because he'd still have to vanish it, and because if he attacks into it, he just... he heals it back up outside of the range of that lethal.
Lifesteal minion. Did he pick up a... What was his first half options? They didn't look very good.
Where's
Cave Hydra. 312. You get the Shadow Reflection before you draw, so Meati loses that Wax Elemental. Not a big deal.
So, Meati does not know that the King Crush is in hand. So if he vanishes,
Katharina will die.
The Katharina will die because I believe Witchwood Grizzly is the one that goes back into the hand since it was pulled last.
Right. And then what's scary about it is that even if you freeze the King Crush,
he can still cube plus Play Dead or cube plus Terror Stalker. So
Yeah.
that's actually a really frightening proposition. He's got to be accounting for that.
But the draw for the King Crush is devastating. Nothing gets pulled. I mean, Meati had contingency options. He could have just simply...
He could have killed it, yeah.
Yeah, it just double Vicious Scale Hide it.
Yeah.
But now he doesn't have to. He can Santos board twice, bounce one thing back. And I think Tars might be out of options here. No way to heal outside that Zilliax, and it's not enough.
He can go for a Zombies if he gets Cave Hydra. No, you can't get Cave Hydra versus Scale Hide. It's not enough attack to be able to go over these two. And he'd only go up to 8, which he knows that the Stonehouse Boar is in hand, so he'd die to that. He knows that if he Undastas, he pulls out the Cave Hydra or the King Crush, which still wouldn't be enough because there's at least 8 damage from hand.
And then Zilliax only gives you 6 life, which is 8, and that's conveniently enough for 2 Stone Toes Boars from the hand anyways.
Yep.
Looking like it's checkmate here.
Can he get a big taunt plus lifesteal? Vicious Scale Hide plus, what's the biggest taunt for 6 mana or below?
Probably like a really efficient taunt like Sunwalker.
Well, that's a beast.
Oh, sorry, that's a B. I thought you were just asking in general.
Well, the biggest one would be the Golem, the
Yeah.
gem-studded Golem.
I mean,
but
Witchwood Grizzly's not
beast.
even in the pool for zombies.
no, it's not.
Yeah, that's not going to do anything here. Tars plays it just to see if Meati by any chance messes up. He won't. Vicious Scale Hide plus Stone Tusk Boar is more than enough. And Meati is going to 3-0 Tars, improving to a 5-2 record, but it's the way he did it